Hey, what's going on, guys? It's the 21st century, and sexuality is certainly out there, and there are a lot of things that people are being exposed to now that they probably weren't exposed to 20 years, 30 years, 50 years ago. So there are some realities now that we have to deal with that our parents probably didn't have to deal with, or even our grandparents didn't have to deal with. And some of those realities come from some of the questions that we ask our potential partner when we meet them. Now, usually we know how the story goes. We meet each other and you like each other, you make googly eyes and you feel the spark and everything is so nice and lovely and great. And then you start to ask about likes and dislikes. What's your favorite song? What's your favorite color? What do you do for fun? Where do you like to go? What's your spot? All of these kind of information, and those are very, very important information. But I believe that there are 10 questions that are definitely relevant for 20th century that we have to ask anybody who we intend to make a long-term commitment to. I'm going to discuss some of these questions. No, I'm going to discuss these 10 questions. These are 10 important questions that you must ask. So after you figure out what them like, what them dislike, them favorite music and songs and food and all of these things and all of that, you need to be clear about certain things. Because if it is that you require certain things, then you need to know that the potential partner is somebody that you might choose, you might settle with, you might spend a good amount of your life with. You want to ensure that certain things are in place. Now, question number 1 on my list of 10 very important questions is very simple. What is your sexual orientation? Now, I know someone will say, then when you ask that fight, obvious, because if them like me, then obviously me and them have the same sexual orientation. Not quite. If it is that you are straight and you require somebody who's also straight, then you need to find out what sexual orientation is, because somebody could be interested in you and be bisexual. Somebody could be interested in you and be bi-curious, and you could be the curious. Somebody could be interested in you and be pansexual or omnisexual, or shall I go on? The fact of the matter is that I've said many, many times, sexuality is not linear. Human behavior is not linear. It's not black or white at all. It's a lot of shades of gray, more than 50 of them. Whole heap of shades of gray. But the fact of the matter is, this is an important question. What is your sexual orientation? Number 2 on my list of important questions that you need to ask in 2015 is, what are you into? Now, this is a very, very good question, because it allows you to explore and to see where they're going with things that they're into. So, is it something like, what am I into? They just casually mention, I like when them young and fresh and green. You can probably think, that sounds like a pedophile-ish, I don't know what I mean, young and fresh and green. It needs to be at least fit, a little ripe-ish, not green, green kind of young, But the point is, find out what the person is into. Allow them to express themselves. And don't be judgmental. Just listen, because this is a key thing, If you just listen to how they talk, it will teach you a lot about what the person like and some of the things that they're into. Because remember, when we just meet each other, it's not really us as our representatives, So they're trying to make a good impression. So pay attention to the things that they say. Number 3 on my important questions to ask is, what are your deal breakers? Now, deal breakers are important to know, because you want to know what that thing is that is going to make the difference in whether or not we are staying together. Maybe a deal breaker is something that is that deal breaker for you. Maybe, for me, my deal breaker is smoking. I cannot date somebody who smoke. If I don't say Brad Pitt smoke, I just admire him from a distance, because I can't kiss him. Black. That's my deal breaker. So, what is your deal breaker? What are your deal breakers? Some people have a whole list of deal breakers. When they tell you this deal breaker, you get to know what's going on. You get to know if you fall into any of those categories, and you get to share with each other what are the things that you are absolutely not going to be comfortable with. Moving down on my list, this question is, how much are you willing to compromise? That is a question you need to know, I know the marriage vow says for better or worse, but the worse something that leave a lot of room for crazy things happen, How far worse are you able to put up with? How much worse can you really live with? You know what I mean? So you need to find out, how much are you willing to compromise? Now, I know a lot of people love to say that relationships are built on compromise, and I say that's crap, Because if you are in a relationship where you are always compromising or your partner is always compromising, then you are in a compromising relationship. And what that means is that your needs are not being met. You're not getting what you want. And if you're always not getting what you want, then you're not happy. So compromise shouldn't be something that you do all the time. It should be something that you do when nothing else can work. So when you do, I think a good ratio of compromise is about 30%. So if you're compromising about 30% of the time, but 70% of the time you get what you want, I think that's a nice balance, okay? So how much are you willing to compromise? Another question. How much are you willing to sacrifice? Now I separate compromise from sacrifice, and I'm telling you why. If your partner had to move to another country, would you be willing to pack up your things, leave your job, leave your friends, leave your family, leave everything that is familiar with you to go with your partner, regardless of where it is? So if I go Dubai, or if she go Dubai versus New York, or she go Sudan or Amsterdam, wherever in the world, because we live in a global economy right now. Anything can happen. People are doing interviews intercontinentally. I mean, I can stay right here and do an interview with a company in Japan and get the work. And I'm in Japan next week. So are you willing to give up everything that you hold dear for this person? Sacrifice. Another question that you need to ask is, and this is an important question now, pay attention. What are your expectations of your ideal partner? This is a question where you must ask, because a lot of people, what they have an idea of what they're going to present is very different from what your potential partner wants you to present. For example, it is 2015 and women have left the kitchen and women are out there and working and all of that, and they have their jobs and they're running companies and making laws and doing all of these things. And a lot of men still expect their woman to, after she done CEO of the place, she done make decision, she done move around how much $1 billion in the daytime, to come home and cook him dinner. Now, if you're a woman who have a problem with that, you need to know what his expectations are, so you can decide, okay, am I going to be with this man who expects his dinner to be cooked every evening promptly at 6 when I normally leave work at 9 o'clock in the night? How am I going to pull that off? Does it make sense? So you need to know what the expectation is of your potential partner. So ask them, what is your expectation of the ideal partner? Another very telling question is the question we say, what does your perfect partner, what qualities does a perfect partner possess? Now, this is where you usually get the movie star kind of description. We say tall, dark, and handsome, and kind, and polite, and romantic, and all these list of things. But pay attention, because whenever somebody gives me that list, I always ask them to describe themselves, because most of the time, who them say them want in terms of characteristics, they don't possess a lot of those characteristics. So the way that question is answered can tell you a lot about who the person is and whether or not you want to go any further with them. Now, I do not propose that you sit down with the 10 questions in front of them. I think I 10 maybe go a while ago, but I work with it. I think, I don't want you to sit down and conduct an inquisition. There are ways that you can find out the information. You don't have to ask all of them one time. You can ask one today and, throw it in a conversation and ask one today and build on it and whatever. Like, for example, the deal breaker conversation is a conversation all its own. You don't need to add, you don't need to do, like, have an inquiry, put them under one dark light in one dark room and shine the light at them face. You don't need to do that. But it is important to find out these things, especially now, because there are a lot of experimentation going on. People trying a lot of things. When you're in college and you do that thing, when you're too drunk and you and your friend have been in the room and all those things that happen, and you didn't like that, in different parts of the body got penetrated and licked and these things. And you realize that you like that. You may want a little of that in your marriage. So the point is, put your cards on the table to ensure that you get what you want. This whole thing of finding the perfect person is just a ludicrous thing as far as I'm concerned, because ain't nobody perfect. But try to find somebody who's as compatible with you as you want them to be. It's a great thing to meet new people and to find out more about them. But understand that regardless of what you ask them, you won't ever know everything about any one person. So you just have to take it in stride, alright? In the meantime, guys, send me your emails, drsexylive@gmail.com. And you can follow me on Twitter, on Instagram, and on Facebook at drsexyad. Ask ask them the question. Find what's going on, you know. Ask the men if they have ever worn female clothes. That's a bonus question. Do you enjoy wearing female clothes? Something to think about. Hey, guys.